The IL-10 trailer has just recently released, and it gives everyone a big look into what's to come in the future, and with it, lots of information and details to go over. In this analysis video, we're going to go over and inspect the entire video trailer from start to finish, including tidbits and secrets within the trailer. And afterwards, we'll also go over some details in regards to the release of IL-10. This is the Roblox IL-10 trailer analysis, what you may have missed. First, I want to go over that some of the things that are said in this video are purely based on observation and speculation. In the case that happens, there will be a warning indicator on the bottom right of the screen like you see now to clarify the fact that this is not objective fact and is purely speculative, as I am not a developer for IL. Without further ado, let's get started. There's nothing generally noticeable within the first few shots, as it is mostly just still shots of the beloved island that we already know about. But these shots still help to serve the narrative and theme of Isle, to generally drive home the point of abandonedness and isolation, feeling like there's no one to trust and that escape is vital. First things first, the weather has been improved. We can see starting from this shot that the weather has gotten significantly upgraded compared to IL-9's weather. The thunder has more of a great impact visually and feels a lot more stunning compared to IL-9's current thunder being just a simple screen flash. We also see that the trees now move as well, unlike in the current version of Isle where they are completely static. Here, round circle winds can be seen floating around the mountaintop of the island. This serves as a reminder that the island you currently reside on is a much different place and also gives the mountain a sense of eeriness compared to IL-9's lack thereof. Here, we can see more of the new weather system with the brand new thunder as well as the mercs coming down from the helicopter as usual. Now this is where we get into some of the more juicier shots. Here we see a shot of the lighthouse with a completely revamped cargo ship in the background. The lighthouse seems to be the same, so there's nothing really important there. What we want to focus on is the cargo ship in the back. The cargo ship in this shot now contains a lot more props and aspects that make it feel more like a cargo ship. The cargo ship as of current in IL-9 is a low poly modeled ship with a few cargo crates and an internal room where the ship is controlled. The cargo ship in this trailer now contains a crane system as well as an entirely new cargo building within the ship, seeming to boast about 4 floors based on the windows, leading to a ton of potential for new story items, progression, and or just items in general. Here we see a new revamped room for the facility. This is the room that contains the experimental vision goggles and exists just before the winged control room. Here, we can see that the room is much more rounded compared to IL-9's much more square layout. The glass in the container is broken as opposed to IL-9's being perfectly whole. And we can also see the same experimental goggles on the table just to the left of the winged control room doorway. All the monitors still say breach, like in IL-9 as well. On the right of the start of the shot, we can see a note that reads, B Corp blank Series D, maintain substance under UV light at all times, with a hazard warning on the bottom right. This could potentially mean there was some sort of substance that was not intended for skin contact, but then the contents of the container broke one day, possibly leading to the creation of frog spawns within the game. We also see a glimpse of the winged control room in the back, which will be revisited in a later shot. In this scene, we see revamped stand animations. There are new animations for Stan getting blinded, staying idling in place, as well as a new running animation. Although hard to tell in the trailer, there are indeed new animations for him running. For comparison, these are Stan's current animations in Isle. In shot 11, we can also see changes to the sky, as this kind of orange-bluish color scheme cannot be seen in the skybox for the current release of IL-9. And here, we can also see revamped Agent B6 animations. Agent B6 has brand new animations for spawning, running, blocking, ground slamming, and his grab finisher. It is unknown if the punch animation has been changed, however, as the action of him doing so has not been shown in this trailer. Here are Agent B6's current animations for comparison. The animations for both Stan and Agent B6 look very fluid and much more natural. We also see new changes to the shooting mechanic in these shots, as they now seem to give off the feeling of recoil with the screen shake. We see in this shot the dragon, and although at first glance this may look ordinary and not much different from the current release of Isle 9, attentive viewers may have noticed that the sky is clear without many clouds, leading to the possibility that this could be grounds for a day 1 early escape. Though this is unknown, and there is also the argument that the mechanics regarding the day cycle could have also been changed. For now, it is a mystery. We see a new revamped giver room, although nothing else apart from the room seems to be changed upon further inspection. We see detailed skulls with 3 unique facial expressions and structures across every skull. No new changes seem apparent in this shot. Snake seems to function the same as usual here. Here, the Leviathan can be seen diving out the water with new animations. It is unknown if the Leviathan dived up due to it attacking a player, or if it can now dive up by itself. The location in this shot is located on the peninsula extending out to the right of Hangar. We can tell this is so as the sketchbook resides in the shot. We also have a new painting, fittingly being of the Leviathan diving up out of the water. Here, we can see the new sprinting mechanic being utilized as well as a new flashlight model. The sprinting was added to Isle not too long ago for testing purposes, and it's been said that sprinting would most likely be added to the game in Isle 10. And seeing it in this trailer now confirms that sprinting will officially be a part of the Isle 10 update. The flashlight model seen here looks to be a lot more realistic and thinner compared to the current Isle 9 mesh, which is taken from an existing ROBLOX skier and is generally a lot more bulkier and vibrant than the one seen in the trailer. People can be seen jumping into the well in this scene, and nothing can really be noted in this scene, except the new remodel for the medkit, which also looks to be more realistic and higher poly compared to the current model used in Isle 9, which is lower poly and more vibrant as well. And now we have what seems to be a new underground area, potentially a sewer of some sorts, and the water also appears to be pressurized too as it pushes players through. No other area in the current game has something like this besides the pipes that push players through the Arches Pylon puzzle and the pipe for getting out of the Squid Scooter area. Now for this shot, we have a lot to unpack here. Right off the bat, it could be said that since the water here still has push, that this area is directly connected to the sewer-like area in the last clip, meaning that to get to this area, you have to get through the sewer-like area. Here we have yet another new location underground. It's very different structurally, unlike anything we've seen so far. All the floors on the right and left seem to be perforated and also have stairs leading up to an entrance for something. That's something we are unsure of. There's water at the very bottom and also another waterfall just across from the area the player comes out of. We also see a light source in the middle of the lake just below, though it is hard to tell what exactly is making the light source appear. My theory for this area existing is that this area is another facility created by B Corp for purposes similar to the current facility in Isle 9. An overhead shot is shown right afterward, which gives us a better scope of the entire room. Just below the waterfall that the person in the previous shot fell from, there appears to be pipes that serve as a way to climb back up into the hole in question. The tunnel seen on the right arches around to the right and has a different flow texture as opposed to this area's perforated tiles. Moving on from that, we have another revamped area of the facility. Lots of new changes can be seen right off the bat here. For starters, there are now 3 new doors that do not exist in the current version of Isle, 2 regular and 1 gated off near the entryway. A lot more props were added as well. The turret model also seems to have been upgraded from the current Isle 9 model. Off in the distance, you can see someone who's died, presumably to the mine trap, and some new changes can be seen to the Wing A starting room, though quite hard to tell what exactly as the camera is very far away. Remember that glimpse of the Wing A control room from shot 9 that I briefly talked about? Well, here it's shown off better. The room itself seems to have been upgraded visually and looks a lot more cleaner than before. The shot shows Leviathan swimming through the window that exists in the current version of Isle today, but currently the Leviathan never swims by the window, meaning that the Leviathan in Isle 10 will now pass by occasionally, most likely. For this shot, we have what appears to be at first glance some new type of machinery, as the circular structure and design seems unlike any other we've seen in Isle. But upon further inspecting, I can say with 95% confidence that this could be a design overhaul to the upgrader in the lair, as there are many things that stand out that point to it being as such. First off, the fact that it lights up rapidly, which the upgrader in the current game also does when you place down an item to upgrade. Secondly, the area seems to be hoisted up in some fashion, which the upgrader in the current game is also hoisted upon up higher terrain compared to the Mantis Pod and Parasite container area. And finally, you can see on the right just by the second player some sort of power intake, which is being powered by fuses, meaning that fuses will need to be used to power the upgrader in Isle 10, 2 fuses from the looks of it, which is why I believe this is an upgrader overhaul. Here we see a player jumping into the ocean from a cliff into a new pipe. We are currently unsure of what the pipe is for. It possibly could be an entrance into the sewer area that we saw previously. The terrain that the player jumps off from is located on the cliff residing on top of the Arches Pylon entrance, and the exact shot can be replicated here. Here we we see someone fighting off Frog Spawn in the sewer-like area. One thing to point out is how the Heavy here does not have a cosmetic mask similar to this in the current version of Isle, meaning that Frog Spawn will now have more cosmetic variations rather than mercenary equipment. Next up, we have a revamped cave area for the green button. It is not known whether or not the location for the green button has been changed in Isle 10, but we know now that the green button now resides in a more closed off area as compared to Isle 9, where it's simply tucked away in a tiny little cave behind the hill waterfall. As the person walks in, there can be graffiti seen on the confines of the walls, which all resemble stars, as well as a giant eye on the ceiling of the cave, which could relate to B Corp as they always resemble themselves with an eye logo. There's nothing really too pertaining to note in these 4 shots, as they are simply showing off the mantis pod as well as the 3 containers that all the parasites are held in, besides a few minor visual changes. In the 35th shot, however, the player can be seen standing on a metal bridge in the lair area, which doesn't exist in the current version of Isle. Now at first glance, these 3 shots don't seem to contain anything abnormal and not seen in Isle 9, but taking a look at shot 39, you can see that there is a campfire just before the entrance of the hangar. What the purpose of this campfire serves is unknown yet and are still not sure if they are randomly scattered around the map or can be made in place by players. When lightning strikes in this shot, we can also see an updated model for the hangar plane which looks more realistic and military-like. In this shot, we can see someone shooting a grenade launcher at the leech, which shows us a possible explosion rework, where it can be seen shooting fire out in all directions, though that is purely speculative as the fire could be a visual change. Although shot 42 seems very chaotic at first, we can actually see that some sort of item is thrown, which breaks and causes fire to break loose, meaning we could potentially get a Molotov item or something similar to a Molotov in Isle 10. There also are a lot of items dropped as well as some new objects near the bottom of the shot, although we cannot tell if any of the items or objects in question are anything new as the shot is incredibly panned out, making it hard to see. Nothing new in the 43rd shot as it's just the hangar plane escape. Here we can see a player holding some sort of egg-like item and planting it into the ground. Although upon frame by framing just before the clip is about to end, there are 2 frames where a frog spawn can be seen starting to spawn, leading us to believe that this is a new drop from Frog, as Frog in the current version of Isle does not have a drop for killing him. There's also an alien-like avatar seen in the background, but this is most likely just put in as a joke in relation to what's known as the interloper, which if you are curious about, there is a video made by Nick which explains and tries to solve the mystery behind what it is. You can watch that video by going to the info card on the top right, and the link will be in the video description as well if you wish to check that out after the video is done. We have some new markings that can now be seen on the stone hedges near the impact zone, correlating to the pylons that you can activate in Isle. Nothing else new here except for the visual changes that we went over in the previous shots, such as the weather, new winds near the mountaintop, and new skybox. Now this is potentially the biggest thing in relation to the trailer, and it concerns Orbit. More specifically, Orbit Part 2, as Mantis has stated before that there exists an issue not on the island, but more specifically far away somewhere else. We see Mantis and a group of players all walking and huddling into an unknown location, most likely the location where the issue resides that Mantis calls back to. All the players can be seen wearing Mantis packs. There's a very weird egg-like object residing in the middle with the whole area being circular. There are also cocoon-like patches in the background surrounding the area that contain black humanoids. Who specifically they are is unknown. The outside seen through the entrance is all black and grainy. Mantis jumps up and starts to inspect the stem that holds the egg-like object. Whilst doing so, Mantis realizes and or hears that someone from outside starts to come in. She looks back and everyone starts to equip their weapon, whether it be the grub gun or maggot missile, as they are alien weapons, the same ones that can be attained from her pod in the current version of Isle. When the camera pans out, it reveals an unknown entity walking through the entryway, though it is not clear whether the entity in question is friend or foe. But judging by everyone's reactions, it's most likely some sort of boss that you'd have to face off in the area itself. After that, the screen cuts to black with the words Isle 10 with the December 2024 release schedule. The 0 also appears to fade into an icon of something. The icon contains a faraway overhead view of the entire map with clouds partially blocking the map. This could potentially be a badge icon for Orbit Part 2, but that is purely just speculation. And that's pretty much it. There are some things that I do want to note before ending this off, however. A few weeks before this trailer released, a devlog post was made which goes more in depth on how the release of Isle 10 will go. TreeB63, one of the main developers for Bordorkby, the studio behind Isle, explains that Isle 10 will be released in place of the winter event, meaning that there will be no winter event 3 this year, unfortunately. I know. We just gotta live with it. Jokes aside, however, they've explained that the content for the update is mostly done, and improvements just need to be made here and there, as well as reworking the Isle lobby. The ending is set to still be a work in progress as well and is now near completion, hopefully going to be finished by the time the update releases. There were also some previews shown off within the post, showing off teasers for a few new things. First preview being 2 new animations, one that is currently unknown, and one that shows off the new stand idling animation by itself. The second preview shows us a new map with a potential new underground location called the Central Reservoir, also meaning that the GPS will show underground locations as well in some form or another. The third preview talks about the players coming through a journal and proceeding to find a new entry. Whether this is a rework to lost files or is a new thing entirely is unknown. The fourth preview shows the campsite area next to the impact zone engulfed in flames, potentially from the Molotov-like items seen in the trailer. And finally, for the fifth preview, a new collectible that can be perceived as a monkey with a pirate hat, which could be a callback to a Bardorkby familiar, kind of like how the sombrero cat was a callback to one of the previous Bardorkby admins, Preston. Thanks for watching! If you enjoyed this video, perhaps consider leaving a like and subscribing. You can totally trust me when I say that my schedule totally isn't non-existent and that I don't just upload whenever I want. Nah, but being serious, if you're seeing this, thanks for watching to the end. I want to make more content like this in the future, and I'd really appreciate supporting me more so that I can have the motivation for more videos like these. It really means a lot. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Again, thanks for watching, and in short, green button rework, it's happening, oh my god, I love green button!